When we took occupancy of this space, it had the usual kind of things you'd find in an office, but it was pretty uninspiring, very dull, corporate-y looking. Also, because no one had been in here for a while, there had been leaks in the roof, there were like flies all over for some reason, insulation that was sat up in the ceiling that didn't seem like a very healthy thing to leave in there for people to work with. So we decided that we needed a pretty drastic renovation of the whole lot.
I've looked at some offices, especially the ones we've been into in hospitals, administration offices, and it's to die. I just couldn't go at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning and there's all these files piled up and they have a bit of a Coke bottle on the table and they're like in a pig pen.
I think there's a very short-sighted approach that you can take when building an office or looking at this sort of project, and that would be saying, let's do it for the lowest cost, because that, as a business, we need to, lower costs, maximise profit.
It needed consideration in terms of, was it financially beneficial or just an extravagance?
The approach that we take is to actually invest in our space, invest in our people, and in turn that means we have a much lower staff turnover, and also our staff really want to help our customers, and as such we have a very high rate of customer recommendations, and we don't really have to go very far to look for new business. So overall, you could look at it and say Melbourne have got far too much money to spend if they've sort of made their offices look like this. But actually it's because we're not spending it in other areas like marketing that we can do something like this. And it creates an environment where everyone's happier.
The brief for the whole concept, for the whole design was quite simple really. It was trying to bring together the family orientation of Melbourne, the fact that all the staff are happy with what they do, that they're given the power to be able to influence their own jobs, influence the way that things are done. They're not just a number in a whole process of things.
I sympathise with them having to sit and look into those screens. So if they've got pleasant surroundings, it definitely makes them feel a little bit better about their daily task.
The kind of things that as a company we're doing is we're looking after customer service 24 hours a day. That's very intense, and if we have a major issue there's a lot of pressure involved there. We've got people writing code and people working very intensely on a lot of things. So we want to create an environment where it's fun, laid back, and when people are taking a break that they can actually get away from what they're working on and do something a bit more engaging.
My major inspiration was from Dan and Vic. How they run a company was inspiration enough. Melbourne is such an incredibly interesting place to work. I mean, they actually care about their staff, and it really needed a place to reflect their ethos on the company.
Oh dear, we'll get there eventually. Everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong this week, but it's starting to we're starting to get back on schedule now with just less than a day, so we should just about get there, I think.
With an office like this, it's part of our bigger ethos, which is looking after our staff and investing in them. And therefore we're kind of doing ourselves a favour really, because we have a very low staff turnover, recruitment costs are huge, training costs are huge, and we just don't have to undergo any of that unless we're taking on new people because we're expanding, not because we're replacing people who've left.
In Victorian times they used to treat people like dirt. I think in 2012, whatever year, in the 21st century, we are much more attentive to the people.
I think the new office will have a huge impact on how we interact with our current customer base and new customers as well, to show them this is who Melbourne is, this is how we've evolved, this is where we've come from, this is where we're going, and hopefully give people the right impression of who we are as a business and what they can expect from us, really.
I've just walked into the office and it's still got the builders and what have you, but I've got the overall conception. It's, the first feeling you get is a feeling of warmth, and it's a little bit like going home after a hard day's work. So I think the staff will enjoy it.
Wow. Holy shit. Oh my god. This is super mega insane.
As a member of staff working here, and future members of staff as well, thinking about the future of Melbourne and how we're going to expand. For people working at the moment, they're going to think, I'm at the right place, and I already know that I love working for Melbourne, but now I know that I don't want to leave somewhere like this.
It's just absolutely fantastic. More than anything I expected it to be, so well chuffed.
I think that the area of the office that I'm most excited about is the garden area. It's just really nice to have a space inside where you kind of feel like you're outside.
When you move into an office, you've got to refurb it anyway. I'd also say that it cost effective in terms of less churn and better productivity. I would say that's hand on heart, that's not just bullshit.
We can create somewhere that leads to productivity, yet makes people happier in their jobs.
We've created a hell of a lot of work for ourselves with this very detailed design. We could have just moved in here as it was, really, and a lot of companies would have done that.
We came up with this semicircular idea which sort of mimicked a kind of NASA control area. We've got the Narnia room, which you've actually got to go through a wardrobe to get to. And that's a place where particularly our financial controller, the one, can go and get away from everybody in order to do the monthly accounts and make sure that we all get paid.
I'm absolutely convinced that it's the right thing to do, and the amount of work we've put in will definitely be worth it in the end.
This has not got the feeling of an institution, it's got the feeling of freedom and softness.
There's always exciting times at Melbourne, but this is certainly one of those exciting steps, certainly for this year.
Melbourne has a proper home that reflects what they want to do, reflects how they feel about their staff, and brings together what they want to give to their customers.